I'd like to welcome you guys to our Kwanzaa event here on Cypress College campus. I really appreciate you all for coming, and I know we're all glad to see you here. So I hope you guys enjoy the speech and have a good time.
CLA, where I graduated from, Royce Hall, and you sit down, there is a line up there as you watch the stage, and it says, education is learning the tools that made the race come as far as it's gone. Of course, I'm a little bit misquoted. But, and as we remember these ancestors, we are going to be pouring water, which is what we call libation, into the soil in which they are now residing, and where, of course, shortly, each and every one of us will be joining them. And so we remember Frederick Douglass, who taught us the nature of struggle. And he told us that in order for anything to come into being, there has to be struggle. The struggle might be financial, the struggle might be emotional, the struggle might be physical, or it might be all the three and then some. But nothing can come into being without a struggle. And so we say water, we pour a little bit of water in the ground to remember that lesson, and we say in the words of the African language, Ashe, repeat to me, Ashe, Heri. That is both one of the languages from West Africa and Swahili. They translated it simply say, Amen, or so be it. And we remember Martin Luther King Jr., who taught us that as we celebrate Kwanzaa, one of the principles of Kwanzaa is kujichagulia, self-determination. And he taught us the importance of determining our own future and our own destiny. He told us, and he said, nobody, and repeat, nobody can ride your back unless you bend down. Something to think about. And so we pour water in the soil in which we buried him to remember that lesson. We say, Ashe.
It was a long time ago. I had almost forgotten. But it was there then, in front of me, bright like the sun, my dream. And then the wall rose slowly, between me and my dream, rose until it touched the sky, the wall. Shadow. I am black. I like the shadow. No longer the light of my dreams before the wall above my dream. Only the shadow. Only the shadow. My dark hand. Break through the wall. Find my dream. Help me to shatter this darkness. To smash this night. To break this shadow into 1,000 lights of sun. Into 1,000 whirling dreams of sun.
Into 1,000 whirling dreams of sun.
Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought. Praising the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Welcome again. So, Dr. Elaine S. Folayan earned a master's and PhD in comparative literature from the University of California, Riverside. She has a Bachelor of Liberal Arts degree from Wilberforce University, one of the oldest universities in the United States, owned and operated by Black people. She has taught English composition and literature in Ohio, California, Louisiana, Georgia, Harare, Zimbabwe, and Nairobi, Kenya. Prior to attending graduate school, Dr. Folayan worked on proposal writing projects in New York City for New York City artists and entrepreneurs for community-based organizations in Ohio, Missouri, and Washington, and for arts organizations in Georgia. She has also worked for a land-grant university, successfully writing over $6 million in project support in only 18 months. She even wrote a 3-part article on funding for nonprofit organizations for the National Leadership Institute in Washington, D.C., which published the articles on its website. As graduate school, Folayan co-edited a collection of essays titled Cemeteries and Spaces of Death, which examines representations of death in literature and film. She is completing biomythography as genre, the narratives of women of color, a text that uses the work of poet Audre Lorde to investigate the narrative structure of women who have been impacted by American colonialism. She is also completing Spider and Me, a children's story her deceased brother began, which explores the attitude and misconceptions youngsters have of the elderly and how preconceived notions on both sides lead to miscommunications. As a writer and public speaker, Dr. Folayan's primary research interest focuses on culture and identity. She explores the many ways suspicious ideas regarding color and gender work to create landscapes of contradictions for cultural production. We will hear some of that today. At this time, I would like to welcome up the inspiring and beautiful Dr. Elaine S. Folayan. Let's give her one more hand.
What I want to do is, and what I didn't do, because the only Kiswahili word I really know how to pronounce very well is Kiswahili. So many other people say Swahili, but that's not what it is. It's Kiswahili. But what I'm going to do is talk to you today about the second principle of Kwanzaa, which you say is kujichagulia, self-determination, and how we can take that as a starting point and then kind of just move forward through the other 6 principles. I am going to try this. I don't know where it's supposed to be aimed. Uh-oh. Yes. Yay. Okay. So I came up with this really cool title because I knew it's going to be a bunch of college students. Bridging the Gap. Blending in while maintaining. You understand that, don't you? It's important to blend in while maintaining, right? Okay, so that's what we're talking about. Here we are, everybody. We are only 1 1/2 weeks left of school. And this is a good thing. This is a good thing. Whether we are passing or failing, it is almost over. If we pass, we pass. If we fail this year, we can lie in our beds in denial for a full 6 weeks before we actually do anything about the grade. The end of the year places the phrase, "it's over," in our psyche, and we should be able to forgive or forget with ease because in a few weeks, we will turn the page on another episode in life. In a few weeks, we can turn the corner of another milestone in our journey. The end of the year is the best part of the year because we are close enough to the future to take a realistic look forward. There is another reason the end of the year is the best part of the year. Let me hear it. The party factor. Right? Right? As we race to the end of the year, to the end of the semester, to the end of a lot of things, we celebrate approaching those finish lines with one party after another. Think about this. We begin at Halloween, which is a religious ceremony, All Hallows Eve. It started as a religious ceremony, All Hallows Eve, but that's a topic for another presentation. But we begin at Halloween. And those of us who love to be adorned and bejeweled can really get our freak on that night. And we move straight through to New Year's Eve. Some of us crash landing on Ash Wednesday, the day after Mardi Gras, wondering, is it February already? We literally squeeze Kwanzaa between Christmas and New Year's Eve. If indeed any of you will be celebrating Kwanzaa after we leave campus today. Although we now move from one party to the next as we end the old year and usher in the new year, the holidays at the end of the year used to be quiet, solemn times reserved for reflection. However, in a little more than a century, the Detroit Lions, the Dallas Cowboys, and the turkey industry have commandeered Thanksgiving. Walmart, Target, Sears, and the Douglas fur industry have broken off a sizable chunk of Christmas. And need I say, Bacardi, Moet et Chandon, see, I'm not even looking at my paper on this one. And mums. Plus all those party centers selling those silly little hats and whistles that grown folks really get stupid about 11:35, right? All of these now have come to symbolize New Year's Eve. The only reflection or introspection is the half-hearted attempt at a resolution which may never see the light of day. Into all of this, Kwanzaa is squeezed. A full week offering us new opportunities to take a strong introspective look at who we really are as individuals, as citizens, and as a people. Pretty picture here. Now, I have a very rich Kwanzaa history. Unlike you all, I'm older than Kwanzaa. Yeah. And I remember the theme and purpose of those very first celebrations. In the late 1960s and 1970s media, Kwanzaa was seen as an anti-event, positioned against Christmas and against Hanukkah, even though most African Americans were not Jewish and would have never celebrated Hanukkah anyway. Those who celebrated Kwanzaa, according to the media, the early media, were considered militants with a strong political agenda. Although overthrowing governments has never been one of the Nguzo Saba, the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. What I remember was a beautiful ceremony in a room full of ambiance with strong speakers who delivered powerful messages that made the listener feel good about who he or she happened to be. The most significant part of the evening for me, was lighting the kinara. People spoke of the principles as they lit the candles, and listeners reflected on these words, finding a place in their own soul space to house meaning. We felt so good afterwards because we knew we were helping to found a tradition. We knew this would last, and it has. Early reports, and even some recent reports, say Kwanzaa has seen its heyday, its popularity is waning, and its celebrators live mostly in the United States and Canada. However, the best Kwanzaa celebration I ever attended, well organized, well attended, well stocked with food and beverage, was hosted by a group of Scandinavians, a few families and their colleagues. This was in the mid-1980s, 20 years after Kwanzaa's founding. When they invited me to Kwazaa, honestly, I thought, what are these crazy white people up to? Kwanzaa? I don't think so. Then Jan asked if I had ever participated in Kwanzaa before. Been to Kwanzaa, Elaine, yeah? I did not slap him because it was illegal. He told me the children really get into Kwanzaa with their paper crafts. Children equal safety. So I accepted his invitation, showed up, and was mildly surprised. Actually, I'll be honest, I was blown away. Everyone wore some African-inspired fashion. Everyone. Even the obvious visiting grandma, who looked very much like you-know-whose wife, in her white hair, her rimless glasses, and her red Christmas sweater, now bedraped in a kente stole. Everyone carried these index cards with sayings, reflections, or resolutions written on them. My host began by welcoming the new persons, and what followed was an awesome program. People read their cards from the heart. Some statements were followed by soft applause in recognition of a challenge to overcome or a goal met. The children passed out their paper crafts, and they were pretty cute. And the children even performed a skit. It was by far, back in the 80s, the best Kwanzaa celebration I had attended. Now, like the reality shows, I have withheld the most amazing point of this celebration. It was held, are you ready? In Harare, Zimbabwe. Yes, folks, that's right. A group of Scandinavians held a Kwanzaa celebration in the middle of Zimbabwe. That was just the most ecumenical thing I had ever attended. I've also been to a Kwanzaa celebration in Ghana and a Ghanaian, and that's just the case, right? Okay, so here's funny story number one. Last month, I offered extra credit to my students for attending a play in North Hollywood. It was far. Did you all go to the play? You went to the play? Yeah. Okay. My students are here. They went to the play. And that was such a great recommendation. I recommended Kwanzaa and you're here, right? Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so all the cast members just happened to be Korean. They were from Korea. The play was in Korean. And one student got permission to use the car to get to North Hollywood, but of course he had to take his little brother with him. You guys know how fathers can be with the car keys sometimes. You know, you can go, but you're taking Junior, who was 6 years old. Okay, as the play began, the little boy really studied the stage. He then shared his discovery with his brother. "Hey, Alex," he said loud enough for everybody to hear, "these people are from the Gangnam Style video." Alex was crushed with embarrassment and could only meet that critical glare of this old woman in front of him. And you know how they put their glasses down like this so they could look down at you and like burn your eyeballs out. She was doing that to Alex, and he was just shrugging his shoulders saying, "He's six, he's six, he's six," with a sheepish look. Now Alex is a college student, right? He'd already taken his sociology and ethnic study courses. His little brother had truly embarrassed him. Unfortunately, toward the middle of Act 1, just before the car chase scene, the driver is switching channels on her radio. And sure enough, she hears, as does the rest of the audience, whoop, 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 Gangnam Style. That little boy's had his suspicions confirmed. He said, see, I told you they were from the Gangnam Style video. This little boy was missing one term and its corresponding concept. Korean. He knew nothing of Koreans. He only knew YouTube videos. Now, I was worse. When I was a youngster, I had the privilege of visiting Los Angeles during the Christmas season. As I cruised through the neighborhood with family and friends, I noticed lines and lines and lines of people in front of small storefronts. Lines and lines and lines. When I asked, I was told they were lined up for tamales. Tamales, I screamed. Mexicans eat tamales too? I didn't know that. You see, where I grew up, tamales were a wonderful treat and part of almost everyday life. There was an old man who pushed this makeshift ice cream wagon down the street, down the summer streets, because there's way too much snow in the winter, hawking his product like the strawberry vendor in Porgy and Bess. Those of you guys are so young. How many people know Porgy and Bess? Yeah, okay, old people, put your hands down. Right. There's a scene where this guy is hawking, that's another word for selling, street vendors without a permit hawk, and he's saying, strawberries, get your strawberries, and he's making up this song, right? Well, the hot tamale man used to come down the street doing the very same thing, tamales. So here I am, right? So growing up in my neighborhood, there were no Latinos. I had no idea what they ate. And because my tamale vendor, who we used to call the hot tamale man, was a black man, I had no idea the tamale was a gift from the Aztecs. I just figured anybody in African-American neighborhood would eat tamales. Alex's little brother and I were disadvantaged. We had limited information, which skewed our perspective. So back to this achievement gap. What can we do about it? Is there a remedy? Are we ever going to get out of Cypress College alive and into a so-called good job? Only you can answer that question. Only you can answer that question. Let me share a little secret with you, and please allow me to use the vernacular. You're getting played. We got to do better than this. We have to have stronger goals. You have to want more than to be famous. You have to want more than to be rich. You have to take that angst and turn it around. I'm not suggesting you do what Snoop Dogg did with his angst. I'm not even suggesting you throw off opportunity for fame and wealth. But you do need to throw off a few things. Throw away the victim suit. It does not look good on you. It's because I'm black. It's because I'm brown. They just treat me like that because I'm poor. It's because I'm all three of these things. Well, it may well be because you are. But if someone reacts negatively to who you are, that is their problem. Move around them and keep stepping. Lose the, they know I'm black crutch. They know I'm Mexican crutch. That attitude leads to what we call the self-fulfilling prophecy. You act like a person expects you to act, they treat you like you expect to be treated. If you do not want two sets of rules to govern you, offer only one set of behavior. Audre Lorde, on whom I wrote my dissertation, once wrote, "The master's tools will never dismantle the master's house." Let me say that one more time, because you don't know what tools. The master's tools will never dismantle the master's house. I think as a people, We need to move away from this notion of who we were or who we are in the eyes of others. We need to move away from the performance that keeps us safe in the eyes of others. These are the tools which Lord speaks, and they are never going to get us where we want to go or where we need to go. We need to cling to the second principle of Kwanzaa, self-determination, with the right support system and information filter. And then we also have community businessmen who put their money together and send people to college. These men right here do it all the time. These are the 100 black men of Los Angeles. Let me tell you a secret. Way more than 100 black men in 100 black men of Los Angeles. You start your charter with 100 black men, but you let other people in. You don't have to kick a person out. It's like, he wants to get in, well, you've got to go. You know, because we can't use 101. It's actually an organization. What these guys do, every year, they give over $100,000 in scholarship money to students. And it's not a GPA-based or an income-based. They give the money to needy students because they know that everybody deserves an opportunity to go to college, whether or not they have the GPA and no money, or the money and no GPA. So we have support. We have opportunities. We have, some of us, defined goals. We need to blend with these with some direction and build the future we deserve. And with the support of our community, we have groups like this. Well, don't ignore them because you might stumble, fall, and hurt yourself, but at least jump over them. You get my point. This sounds like a cliche, but don't let the system get you down. Use this Kwanzaa to develop your game plan. Move through the 7 principles and be the person you were meant to be. My doctor sent me a card once that read, "Who you are is God's gift to you. Who you become is your gift to God. God is waiting, so get busy." Thank you.
And I never want to miss, but at this time of the year, as you can imagine, a lot of activities going on in celebration of the holiday. I so appreciate Dr. Elaine's words, being here and sharing her message with you. I had the privilege recently to address a class of students. The thing I love most about education, being in a classroom and interacting with students, and I don't often get that opportunity now. And I talked about the value of education. A couple of things that I pointed to, and I don't want to make this a long dissertation here, but one of the things that I think is relevant to this event and the discussion we had today is that personal, individual responsibility, but also our collective responsibility. I was asked in a forum recently, whose responsibility is it for students to learn? Is it the student's responsibility, or is it the teacher's responsibility? And I felt a little bit set up, but I answered words to this effect, that yes, it is the student's responsibility to show up to class, to make education a priority in your life, to do the work that you need to do, to learn the material, to do well on the quizzes and the exams, to take your studies seriously, to do all that's involved in being a good student. But the best of efforts will fail in the classroom if the teacher doesn't also accept responsibility. The teacher has to show up and be prepared. The teacher has to care about the discipline and care about the students. The teacher has to be organized and present information in a way that is relevant to students and to be passionate about the discipline. But it's also my responsibility as a college president. I have a responsibility for student learning, to make sure that you have an environment that's rich, that supports your needs. It is our groundskeeper's responsibility. It is every administrator's responsibility. It's our counselor's responsibility. And what I'm saying is it is a collective responsibility. Of course, you as students, you have to do your job. But this only works if we all recognize, first of all, the value of what we're involved in. But then secondly, that we each individually and collectively have a responsibility. And if we all do our job and meet those responsibilities, that's when it works. I want to thank our guest speaker, Professor Ssensalo, for doing this work. The passion that she brings, the effort that she brings, arranging for something like this is not easy, and it takes people who are dedicated and committed, and Dr. Ssensalo is one of the best. So, and to all of you, I so appreciate you being here. My sincere hope as president of the college is that you each as students feel that you are welcome, that this is an environment that is supportive, that you enjoy being here at the college, and of course that the instruction that you're receiving, the support that you're receiving is relevant and effective, and this is a meaningful experience for you. And if we've done that, then we're meeting our goals. So again, congratulations to all of you, and thank you.